Hello and welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans come to congregate and fanboys fear to tread. How are we doing this fine Saturday?
Fine Saturday. I know,
Like
yeah.
a
Geez,
lucky ass Saturday, 60 degrees out or 50 degrees out. Just
well,
cold enough where you don't want to ride, you know?
yeah. Well, look, it's not raining here in Ireland, so it's summer.
Yeah. A
But yeah, all is good. All is good. I
lot
suppose.
of
Look,
rumors. There's not much news, a lot of rumors going around. Uh,
yeah,
Same BS. Where's Acosta going? Where's Toprak going?
yeah. No, but that's always the start of silly season. But look, I suppose just before we kick into things, right? I had some nasty comments in the comments, and majority of people won't see these things, right? Because look, I'm not a dickhead, like, you know what I mean? I have these words filtered out and stuff like that, right? And listen, look, we're on here to talk about bikes and our love of sport, and I'm happy for people to disrespect or disagree with what I say or what Jake says or what CB says or whomever is on the show, right? But don't be an asshole and make it personal. Don't comment about someone's weight, someone's voice, someone's breathing, someone's this, someone's that. You know, if you have or if you feel the need to write those comments, fuck off.
Get a
Very
life.
much simple as that. At the end of the day, this channel is about a community of fellas that like and ladies and you know
It's
who
always
like.
the hippie with the long hair. That's he's 50 some years old, welfare recipient. It always
Like, it's not
revered.
even that, right? Look, there's no reason to be a prick.
Yeah,
Simple as that, right? And look, if you want to disagree with what we say, fine, great. If you want to get personal and start calling us fat, ugly, overweight, obese, motherfuckers, all of this shit, I'm not really interested. And all it will do
get your
is
bed.
I'll just stop doing podcasts and give you something less to whinge about. I know, but look, 99% of the people on this channel are absolutely great. I love the community, love that this, that, and the other. But it's there was a lot of people giving out and giving personal remarks, which I don't think is right. Yes, okay. There's funny moments when people fall asleep. That is
Yeah.
due to tiredness, right?
Oh my God. Yes.
Due to health issues.
And I
And
was the first one to admit that. I was like, I had been up for two
yeah, and
solid days. Oh my
but
God. And pain. Oh my God.
but those are not the remarks that I'm on about. It's more so the remarks when you're getting really specific into a person about who they are, what they are, where they are. And listen, look, yes, I'm fat, but I'm very happy in my life of where I am on my body and who I am, right? So I don't really give a fuck. But I just looked at it and I was just like going, what makes an asshole or assholes in this case write such comments? And um
Homosexuals because they're worried about what another man's body size is. I
yeah,
mean,
well,
come on,
look,
let's face it. Oh,
that, that may be true,
you're
Jake.
that
Do you know what I
concerned
mean?
about what another man's body's looking like.
Yeah, but look,
On,
it's just something. Look, and I won't
on the wrong
tolerate it.
side of the
You know,
tracks.
for anyone. Do you know what I mean? So, um, yeah. So look, if you feel that you need to make a negative comment about any of our appearances, you know, just take yourself and fuck off. Anyway, right. My little bit of a rant is over because it's very rare that I rant at things like this, but it does annoy me when you're making pointless comments about something that's not really what we're talking about. If you don't like the channel, if you don't like the podcast, you don't like the videos or whatever that it is that we do, feel free to fuck off.
Simple as
Very
that.
simple, very plain. No, uh, no mixed messages here.
Yeah.
You know,
But to the good people out there, we like
we
we
are
come
very,
here.
very appreciative. 100%, and you're bang on right, Jake. As I mentioned, it's 99.9% of people are absolutely brilliant. Love the community that we have. It is great, but I do want to say that to that 0.1% of people, I won't fucking tolerate you.
Yeah, yeah.
Simple as that.
And they think they're gaining points with you. It so it kills me.
Ah,
Yeah,
keyboard, a
yeah.
keyboard warrior. But anyway, right. Anyway, this week it's a very slow week in news, and this has been kind of a very kind of a very same situation since January. It's like the news has just fucking stopped, or all of a sudden that Dorna has stopped becoming a leaky sieve. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Come to a grinding halt. Like,
yeah, and like, yeah, of course, there is a lot of rumors right there. Now, a lot of rumors, there is never any smoke without fire, right? So, like, when you look at it, Acosta's manager was speaking to Pramac. 100% he was speaking.
Yeah.
He was also speaking to VR46. He's also speaking to Honda. Like, we have to recognize and realize here is that if you're a motorbike rider and your manager is not speaking to every other team about potentially getting you the seat,
he's not doing his job.
He ain't doing his job, exactly. So, you take all of these news articles with a pinch of salt. You then look at like realistically, Pedro Acosta and Fabio Quartararo on a Yamaha. That's a good pairing. Do you know what I mean? You kind of have the not so older guard. You have the young contender and the not so older guard. Do you know what I mean? But Fabio working with him. Like, if you look at Acosta needs a front end, and the Yamaha does have a front end.
Yeah, but they need the cat. But as a rider or a manager, I wouldn't want. I would be suspect when a manager comes up to me with a bike that's subpar. Wouldn't you? It's somebody. It comes up to me, especially if it comes up to me with a Honda. I know they've made inroads, but let's not blow that out of proportion. We've heard this before. As soon as they hit top 10, and all of a sudden they're coming back. Like,
we have
tomorrow.
We have
back tomorrow.
We have, but like I would be very much so out there now in the way of my thinking, and I would be that it's Ducati, Aprilia, Honda, KTM, and Yamaha. That would be my order, And
now you're in the minority. Most of them are the Honda above the Yamaha, but Yamaha has always had a stronger engineering team than Honda.
Yeah, but I do class Honda and KTM still above where Yamaha is, right?
You do.
I do. Like, you look at the second rider in Yamaha, right? Which is Jack Miller or Fabio. Like, Fabio is not getting on with the bike at the moment. Not at fucking all, right? So, like, Jack Miller is leading the fucking way nearly on the Yamaha, right? Which is the thing. And like, we do know, and I'll go out there and I'll say it first, is that, like, Miguel Oliveira has been told, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, Miguel Oliveira has already been told that there's no seat for him next year, despite having a contract.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So for me, Yamaha is going to be very aggressive. Like, is Alex Rins on the chopping block? I would think 100% yes. Do you know what I mean?
Rins is he's the second fastest rider they have.
Rins?
Yeah.
Rins ain't cutting the mustard, man. Not at fucking all.
I thought, what am I missing? I thought,
Miller's cutting the mustard.
Miller's cutting the mustard. Yeah, you're right. Miller's cutting the mustard, but I can never take him as a serious contender because he's not his.
But again, this is what you need.
Is to go fast, crash at the end.
Yeah, but
tires run out. He's putting an extra soft tire, runs it until
he's putting that bike in places where it shouldn't fucking be.
I know.
You know what I mean? And like, that's kind of one of the things. Like, Alex Rins is in 16th place on 10 points. Fabio Quartararo is in 14th place on 16 points. Jack Miller is in 10th place on 19 points. Miller is the fucking top Yamaha.
Yeah.
They're like, it says it all. Like, he's doing his job. Do you know what I mean? He's best. He's best of them. Now, look, to be fair, Yamaha.
How much did we hear? They're back as soon as they had testing. Remember? Yet again, for how many years? The fourth year in a row. They're back. They're right next there to the Ducati, and Ducati's next on the hitting block.
Yeah.
And
now, look.
I said, no way. Like, we just hold your horses on this, folks.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a couple of things going on with Yamaha. I think they're. like Fabio, like I did a video where Fabio came out and he's like, just stop changing the fucking bike, right?
Yeah.
And if you remember, what really fast world champion gave out to his team for changing his bike? Pecco. Every time Pecco was getting on the bike was different, and he publicly came out to Ducati and said, "Stop fucking changing my bike."
Yes, yes.
Do you know what I mean? And this is what it needs, and like I'm a Yamaha fan, lads, and like I'm gonna call them straight out, right? They were fucking amateur in the works team at Kota. Like your number one rider had two completely different spec bikes as his 1 and 2 going into a race. Different swing arms, different frames, different suspension settings, and it wasn't wet bike, dry bike. His both dry bikes were completely different. And like you're going into a race, you know what I mean? You need the bikes exact fucking same, exact spec that you were running and you were testing. If they are only bringing one frame and one swing arm, then that's fucking amateur hour again. Like as a main manufacturer, you know what I mean? You can understand it in a small team, or like years ago where you had you had the number one rider. He got everything first. If that worked, and then his secondhand ones went over there, and he got the new fresh ones. So when I was reading about Fabio, I was like, Jesus Christ Almighty! Like, are they either moving parts through it that fast? If they are, that's a worry, because they're doing what KTM and Honda did last year. KTM did a couple of years ago, and Honda did last year. They tied themselves up in knots until they went back to simplifying it again. And yes, doing some race testing during the weekend, not a lot, but trying one or two things rather than trying different things each fucking session. And I think that's what Yamaha are doing. They're doing too much testing in the sessions, and then when it comes to race, they don't have the sweet spot, they don't have the base setting, and they just go fucking backwards. That's my 2 cents in it anyway. What else going down during the week?
Toprak is another one that they're jumping up and down about. Now, you know what? Now, boy, you're going to get a lot of backlash for this. Toprak, I can never see Toprak as an alien rider. And people are going to go, oh my God. Because he's such not a one-trick pony, but almost a one-trick pony. He tries to outbreak everyone. That's his mainstay. He goes to outbreak everybody, but if he loses out to like Bugala, whatever it is.
Bugala.
Yeah, and other riders on all the the rest of the track. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but look, that's
the
just
rest of the track. He does not have the skills of like a Ray or a Bugala or whatever. He loses out around the rest of the track and then outbreaks the guy.
Yeah, but look, I suppose there's everyone has their big key strength, right? Like Danny Pedrosa was very good at getting out of the corners, because he was very light.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But then going through the fast ones, he wasn't the best. Marc Marquez will automatically pull 0.3 of a second going around the left-hand, faster left-hander than anyone else. There is just natural things there. Do I think Toprak is an alien? He's 1 second off a MotoGP bike around Portimao on a World Superbike. Does that put him in the club? Probably not, because there was people close to him in World Superbike. But
he really reminds me of Kevin Schwantz. Remember Kevin Schwantz? Trying to outbreak everybody, no matter what.
Yeah,
he tried to outbreak you going into a solid brick wall.
I think where he is, right? Because look, right, we haven't seen him against the best in the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like Buliga got booted out of Moto 2, right, for not being quick enough. Let's be straight up with that. He went and he found his rhythm. He's found who he is and whatever. Alvaro Bautista, Johnny Ray, Bautista was in MotoGP, never an alien.
Yeah.
Petrucci in MotoGP, never really an alien. Got lucky a few times, won a couple of races. Johnny Ray never made it.
No.
And listen, this sounds very disrespectful. It's not disrespectful, but it's again, it's just, so when you put him, is he an alien? The reason I will say I don't know is because I've never seen him against one.
Right.
Now, like, you give him 6 months in MotoGP against an alien, then we're going to find out if he's an alien or not.
Oh, and I want to give I told you so to you. Not bad. That I was reading or heard where Honda is really on the warpath trying to get riders. They're saying they're going to go out. They're coming out. We're going to catch. We want to go back to the old situation where we have the best riders. And with Honda, that's best riders. The bikes, they think the bike's good enough, and they want to have a rider. They're screw development. We're really
well, no, look, you can't necessarily say that, right? Like,
I know what you're saying. They're not going to
unless they have a mid-packed or top mid-pack bike. They're not gonna attract those riders, even for the money, right? Like, you look at Pedro Acosta.
But they might think they can.
They might think they can, but they'll get a fucking rude awakening. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's something because that's where they were operated before, right?
You look at the likes of young Acosta. Perfect fucking example of it. He near no more gives any shit about money. Not a fucking, doesn't give a fuck, right? And you ask him, here's 20 million for a Honda.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to struggle to win a world championship. You pay us 100,000 to ride a Ducati, and you might win a championship. He'll pay the fucking 100,000. 100%, over and over and over and over again.
And everybody's ranting and raving that he's going to go to Honda, and I'm looking at it and saying, no, I can't see it. I can't see him going to a Honda.
I will put it to you this way:
Ducati or a Aprilia.
If the Hondas are running comfortably, top 5, top 6, bang on, he'll go to Honda. That's the trigger. Right? Because if you're an alien and you see a bike is 3/10 behind the Ducati, you're like, I can make those 3/10. Do you know what I mean? Look at Mark. Loads of people have done it. Quartararo does it normally on the Yamaha, right? He finds that pace. He understands the bike, or he's able to ride through it. And I think if Honda get into a place where they're top 5, they'll get their alien, no problem. Yeah. If they're battling at the edges of the top 10 and need to make up 0.7 of a second per lap pace, they won't.
Yeah. Quartararo, he went for the money with Yamaha. One, I guess he felt.
Well, where else was he to go, really? Where else?
His lifestyle is ridiculous for spending money. So.
Yeah, but look, okay, put his personal lifestyle away from the side of it, right? When all of this was going on, right? Ducati was full, right? Realistically, right? They had Aldegarin, they had Digi was in VR46. Do you know what I mean? So it was either oust Alex Marquez, which will never have happened, or oust what's his name? Franco Morbidelli. Never going to happen either, right? So
unbelievable cost, yeah.
All the 6 Ducatis full, right? Then you had the Aprilia taking on Jorge Martin. They're not going to pay they're not going to pay serious coin for another rider, even in the.
I don't think they have
it. But even in the terms of, like, they're not going to pay 5 or 10. They're not definitely going to pay 10 million, but they would struggle to pay 5 or 6 million for a number 2 rider. Then you're faced with 2 roosters in the hen house, right? So realistically, Aprilia wasn't an option. So then you have Honda, KTM, or do I stick at Yamaha? Stick at Yamaha. That's realistically where you're going to go. Yeah, like KTM, to be fair, did have Acosta. So if he was going to go into another team, it was going to be into So for me, kind of when you're looking around at all these things, a lot of stuff does make sense. Why he stood there. Money is probably a factor. No, and I'm not denying that at all. But his serious options were very limited once Ducati's doors started closing.
Yeah,
So for me, it was probably better that he resigned for them, because he'd end up in a fucking KTM. If he's in the KTM this year, he's in the shit house. Now he's on the Yamaha this year, and he's in the shit house too. But I would be a lot more comfortable in Yamaha that they have the funding and the budget to develop the bike.
Yeah. Fine. By the way, Fabio is my favorite rider. I think he's the right now he's the rider, the dark horse that nobody understood. People have forgot about Fabio in all sense. A lot of ways they have forgotten how good he is.
Yeah. And it's funny, and we always say this. It's very funny how on the back of last week's podcast, the news articles come out in the likes of Crash and Speed Week and all of these ones. It really. I sent you a couple of things now over the past few weeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we talked about this on Sunday, right? Yeah. They've come out with it on Monday or on Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, and you're just like, for fuck's sake, lads. But anyway, it is quite funny. Like, for me, one of my surprises this season has been Jack. Look, Yamaha weren't keen on signing Jack, and because of his attitude and the way he is and whatever. And I know Pramac went out of their way to make Yamaha see the light. Like, for me, and I know, excuse me, people don't particularly like Jack or rate Jack or whatever. For me, I think
I like Jack, but
he's a good rider. He's quick. Yes. Does he go on the softer tire and fade? Of course he does. But again, I would prefer to have a rider taking fucking risk and it pulling off every now and then than say, okay, I'll start on the hard tires and let's finish the race. Do you know what I mean? And just like, never race to go.
Give me an orange with a big breast and a warm heart and let no man stand before me. Exactly. He's rev rolling and ready to go when he gets on that grid.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one of the things I did talk about that I found very strange is the Pirelli tire switchover. And there was one of the big things that I had was like, what the fuck are these guys going to test the tires? How are they going to test the fucking tires? So Pirelli have come out and they're kind of saying, listen, look, we're very keen to get going on the testing and the thing, and they're going to use the 1000cc bikes to test. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I suppose where I'm worried personally is like the aero is not going to be the same. It's going to be
right
thing. So like, are they going to do what they did in Formula One? Is like they had a mule car in Formula One.
I just heard this though, but they're going to use 1000cc super bikes.
No. They're going to use actual MotoGP bikes.
Oh no, I just heard that I just heard it this morning. They said they were going to use super bikes. They said, how can you use a super bike? Because they said the horsepower is going to be roughly the same.
Yeah, it's roughly the same, but basically, they're going to try and use the current ones, the current MotoGP bikes. Now that might be a year or two old. I don't know. But apparently is that they know they can't do it. They've asked Dorna and the FIM. Can they do it with the current 1000cc bikes, which is what we have? But basically put an aerodynamic package on it that similar to what will come in effect in 2027. So realistically, what this means to me is that they're going to take a mule bike and they're going to run that mule bike with the aero loads and whatnot. So just try and get a gauge for the tires with the 1000cc. It won't give them a very, how would I say? It will give them an idea, but it's going to be very, very different on the DNA of the bike and the tire and all of that. So, but it was one of the things that I was really wondering about what they were going to do, or how they were going to do it. So, but that's the approach that they've taken, is that they're going to try and get the 1000cc bikes fitted with aero that will be similar to the aero loads that will be produced in the 2027 bikes and go from there.
No, what I thought was interesting is when they said when Pirelli's guy said, "Don't worry about it because you're forgetting that the big horsepower loss." And I could just see the guy. Of course, I couldn't see it, but I just could imagine that guy going, "Shut up, shut up." No,
Joe, that old Joe, that old
out of
thing
the bag,
in the movies. There, the old walking stick with the hook in it, and it's like, yeah,
yeah.
One of the things that I'm also worried about, and I know we kind of touched on this last week, but Johann Zarco, I think he's earned a spot in the factory team. I really, 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 really genuinely do. And it's going to be political.
I can agree with you.
Yeah, I think he's consistently one of the fastest men on the fucking thing. You know what I mean? And he's on the satellite bike.
And he's a better test rider for not just who's a better setup man for Honda, even not just testing, but as a setup man than Zarco at Honda. He's the best.
He's definitely one of the best at the setup. Like he really, it's like he really understands the bike, And for me, when I've looked at him, I'm just like,
now that's odd too, because he always looks pissed off in the pits.
He does, but like I think
that's a piece of shit.
But I think that's
just the bike. Yep.
But I think that's just his character, like I've seen a lot of stuff of him outside of it, and he just likes to go be on his own and chill out with his guitar, what I mean. That's kind of the way he is. But look, it is definitely interesting to see what he'll do. Like if he's like for me, how many points does he have? I have to look at Zarco's points. Where is he? He's 7th in the fucking championship, 25 points. When was the last time we saw a Honda in 7th place in the Riders' Championship?
About 4 years ago.
And he's actually tied 6th. Let's be fair to him, tied 6th with Agora. So look, to be fair to him, and where is the next Honda? You have Marini on 20.
Christ, I wish Aprilia had picked up on
Agora. Huh?
No. It picked up on Zarco instead of our favorite Puerto Rican friend.
I need to fucking look at something here very quickly, just while we're doing this, right? Because
Fernandez.
Fernandez! Oh, for fuck's sake! Like, what is he on? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't mean to be disrespectful to the chat, but
I'm sorry. They should give. He earned it. He earned it right from the day. He earned it the day from the time he was in KTM. He should have never got those rides.
Okay, so Johann Zarco was the highest Honda rider last year, on 55 points for the whole year.
Okay.
He's on 25 points now after 3 races.
Yeah.
Kind of shows you the turnaround. To be fair, that Honda have made, right? Because it's huge. Like to be fair, and what I was actually looking at. What's that go?
And what is curiosity? What was Quadraro this last year and this year?
I just want to keep the number 35 points. No, sorry. Wait a second. I want to do that one. I want to do Constructors Championship. Honda had 75 points last year, right, for the whole season.
Okay.
Honda have 36 after the first 3 races.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm watching that. Fabio Quartararo, rider standings. Yeah.
Yeah, last year and this year. Compared to Zarco.
Zarco had 55 last year. and Quartararo had 113
for the year.
For the year.
Okay.
And
so more or less, they got the Honda and the Yamaha switching places.
There, yeah. Like as I said, the way I would put it, if I was looking at Honda, or if I was looking at the team championship now, it would be Ducati. And this is just pace, right? Pace of bike. I would be looking at, I would call it Ducati, Aprilia, Honda, KTM, and Yamaha. And if I actually look at the team's championship, it's Ducati, Honda, KTM, Aprilia, and Yamaha. Now, to be fair, the only asterisk, right, there's 3 points between Aprilia and Honda, right? The asterisk that I'd have in this is that they don't have their number one rider. Okay? So Aprilia don't have Jorge Martin. I'd expect Aprilia to be a little bit further forward if Martin was there for the start of the season. Do you know what I mean? So, Ducati they've more or less won it. They're 111 points compared to 36 in second place. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit.
Somebody said, was it you that said they won the constructor's title already?
Yeah. It's just which team Ducati are going to win it now, you know? Yeah, so it is interesting. And look, there's a lot of spin going around as well about Acosta and where will he move. And look,
I say there's no way he's going to pick. Like you said, that kid wants to win. He does nothing else. He said it's going to be hard to move from KTM since he's been there since he was a kid, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, it's going to be hard for him. But you can tell in his voice, he's moving. He's already has in his head that he's going.
Yeah. Look, he wants to win, and I think what he's starting to do is he is starting to doubt the KTM project. Do you know what I mean? That they're not making strides forward. Now, saying that, and look, I've been kind of critical of him in his riding style, right? Like, if you look at his riding style, how he turns in way earlier than everything else, then, you know, of course, it's leading to the crashes. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I personally need to kind of look at it. Like, if he goes to Honda or Yamaha, or if he goes into, let's just say, Ducati and Mark and them make shit of him and Pecco and them, you know, it could do more damage to his his market value, which again he doesn't care about, but he will start to care about the older that he gets. And this is one of the things where, I meant to say earlier, is he is so young now, he doesn't give a fuck about money. Yeah, he doesn't care. Right? Right now he's still at the mentality, he's still 20. Do you know what I mean? I've jocks that are older.
He's already probably already has $1 million in the bank. Okay.
Yeah, but look, but I think in his
money away, he's already kind of set.
But I think
how many people have $1 million in the bank?
He will turn around and just, in his mind, he'll just go, I just go work on the boat, Joe, with my dad. Joe, that's $1
million, put it in the bank. You know, put it in investment in Vanguard, and you know.
But no, my point is that he'll just go. He doesn't care when he becomes 30. He's like, fuck, I don't have many years left now. Do you know what I mean? And do I want to go to work? Do you know what I mean? I'm sore, I'm banged up, I'm fucked. And then you're like, okay, now I need to try and get the $50 million or $5 million or $10 million contracts. Right now, he'd fucking pay to ride a fucking really good bike. Simple, you know.
The other one, Honda also wants Toprak. They said they're really chomping at the bit for Toprak for Honda.
Well, again, you see, look, this is where all of these rumors are coming from, right? Is that
and guess Toprak, what? Did this? They were looking at a 3-year contract. Is what I heard. The first year is this is comical. Going to the Superbike team, because the Superbike has been such an edsel such an embarrassment. They want him to have at least one good year because the bike's been a failure since day one. I don't care how much you have to admit, right? And they just want something. That was the biggest foul they've ever done in Honda for about putting out a model. They had a great model they were selling. They dumped the whole model, dumped the whole concept of the model with the RR, went to the triple R, and it just fell on his face.
Yeah. But look,
and the mechanical problems of massive overheating didn't help matters any. But the thing is, and they're saying, well, he'll be able to jump on the Honda and do what he did on the BMW is the thought. Well, the jump between Vandermark and Toprak is far more than you have with the Honda riders and Toprak. Those Honda riders are fast.
They're not slow.
They're top tier in World Superbike. The bike is just garbage.
Yeah, look, like for me,
I don't think he's going to be able to jump on that Honda. Is my point.
Listen, look, there's not a fucking prayer, Honda. He will go on that fucking Honda World Superbike for a year. Not a hope.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's not a chance, fiddler's chance in hell.
Like if he wants to go to MotoGP, he has to go to MotoGP, right? Simple as that, right? He cannot just turn around and he could not put his reputation at risk in World Superbike. You know what I mean? He'd have to, because look, at the end of the day, if he wants to go to MotoGP, how do you know Honda are going to hold out their deal, right?
Yeah.
So, I think what most people are recognizing is that Honda are on the way back. Let's just call it that way, right? Are they there yet? No, they're on the way back, right? They've made some really, really good performances. And the only thing they don't have is that alien spec rider. The only chance that realistically they currently
need more. No, I think they need more than just the alien.
Yeah, but that's what I said earlier. They need to get that bike within half a second, 0.3 of a second of the Ducatis.
Yeah,
they get that, then that person will be like that. So
I'll give you that.
I think they're about 7-8 tenths off at the moment. Right. That's where I think they are in pace.
Yeah, that's a good estimate.
So for me, like Toprak going to Honda, it's not outside the realms of possibilities, right? Like he would go there, he would be a big name, draw a lot of attention. You know, is it a good marketing tool? 100%. But you know, if Toprak goes to, and this is where I was thinking the other day, like I thought Toprak might go to Trackhouse Racing next year. And then I was kind of thinking about it after.
That's a good hookup right there. I thought you had a wisp of genius there when you pulled that out of your hat.
But then, like Keenan Swapfoaglu or whatever his fucking name is a smart man, right? And he's not going to put Toprak in next to a fucking mini alien, right? Which Agora is penciled in to be a mini alien.
I wouldn't give him that yet. I think he's Asian, and that's going to sound really racist, but Asians don't have fast reflexes. They just don't.
He's sixth in the world championship.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general. If you take 1 million Asians and 1 million,
I do get what you mean, but I'll just still go with he's sixth in the championship, right?
Why do you think they don't have any Asian boxers?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem. They have slow. They're just not athletic. Let's put it that way.
I don't know. Some listen, I wouldn't get in a fight with a couple of
Bruce Lee was a myth. Yes, the stuntman on the crew did beat the hell out of him. That's not a myth.
Okay, look, I'm just going to I don't care what race he is, right? His vastly more experienced teammate is on 5 points, and he's on 25 points. Done deal for me, right? Like he is definitely way outperforming him, right? The other person in the factory team who, okay, let's be fair, only got on the bike this year as well. He's also outscoring him. You know what I mean? So I will give him, and that's what I said, mini alien, still not sure about him, but if Toprak went to Trackhouse and Agora started beating the fucking pants off him, that damages Toprak's brand. And Toprak is getting old now as well. Do you know what I mean? Money is going to become important. So maybe Honda is a safe place for him to go into. Do you know what I mean? Everyone is not expecting Honda to win. Do you know what I mean? Is it the perfect place that it brings enough attention, sponsors, all of this, the right type of sponsors?
There, I'll disagree with you. I think people, as soon as they get a sniff of any progress with Honda, they expect Honda to win, and they should, because all the freaking money and the way Dornick gives them special treatment, they should.
But look, to be fair, right? If you look at the millions and millions that are spent in MotoGP, right?
Right.
For a second. 1 second. Like you look at Toprak's lap in Portimao, 1 second off Bastianini's time of last year for pole position. The millions of fucking dollars, euros spent for that 1 second. I get that, and listen, I'm not one bit at all shitting on MotoGP, right? But it's prototype, Joe, and it's a second. From near enough to what you could buy in the fucking shop. So I just think, for me, when I look at it, Toprak to Honda, it's possible. Toprak could go fucking anywhere, really. Like he does have it. Anyone would take him. He has the credentials. He has. Is he an alien? And like we touched on this earlier on. I haven't seen him being put up against an alien, and so call him an alien. I don't know. Like this is why I'm saying with Agura. Agura has had enough.
I don't put him up as an alien. It's like I said. I see him out breaking people.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen people I've seen it where he doesn't with Ray. I've seen him where Ray had a good day and it was breaking him. It was breaking with him. Okay, and if you can break with Toprak, you'll beat Toprak.
Yeah.
The rest of his game is not anything exceptional.
Yeah, no. I would kind of disagree with you. Like his racecraft for me is very good. It's top notch. Do you know what I mean? You can see
it's a tough call. It really is a tough call.
Like yes, okay. Like there's braking, right, which is late on the brakes, and he is. And then there's the balls to leave the fucking brake off, right? And we saw him doing this in Portimao with Bulig a good few times, like up into the corner up the top of the hill. Like he left that brake off. You know what I mean? And he was willing to fucking risk it, right? And there's a part of that psychology of
why I always consider that part about braking. Somebody letting the other half is letting it off and making the call.
Yeah, but it's like you have outbraking, which is the initial part of it, and then there's like, okay, I need to, like, I could see him 4 corners back going through Craig Jones's corners. You could see Toprak's line was that he was setting up both. Now, I do know the track intimately over in Portimao, right? So I could see how he was setting himself up, that he was going to drive through the bottom of the waterfall up into the top corner. Do you know what I mean? And you could just see that, like, he was focused on driving and then let off the brakes. And it was just, for me, it was just it's just planning.
I'll correct myself on something. He is also a good passer, and when I say that, I'm talking about like I consider passing an art in itself. Like Rossi was the best passer ever. He set up people, and I'm going to set him up for 5 corners ahead. He was thinking 5 corners ahead to pass the same
where I want to be.
Yeah. And Toprak, if he needs to pass somebody, he will set up that pass.
Yeah. But like you could,
very well.
Like I call it racecraft, really, right? Because you're thinking about the strategy of the race, and this is what you're going to do and where you're going to do, and like it again, it's like Laguna Seca, Rossi versus Stoner, right? That was balls to the wall, but it was also very, very clever racecraft, positioning the bike, coming out onto that final straight where Stoner could blitz past the Yamaha, right? He was like, oh, well, I need to be on the inside of the corner. So if he wants to go past me, he has to go the long way around. Do you know what I mean? So Toprak, in my mind, is a little bit of a thinker like that, but he's also fucking ruthless. And a lot of aliens are fucking particularly ruthless. Do you know what I mean? Okay, like you look at it, Pecco, while he's a gentleman, he'll go fucking toe to toe with you.
Oh yeah.
He will bash the fairings with you. He will fight with you. Mark will. No, we know Mark.
Really?
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
yeah. Jorge Martin will. You know, Rossi did. Lorenzo did. You know, a lot of the really, really good. So, but again, I wouldn't confirm him as an alien until I saw him against an alien. That would be my view on Toprak. And I think Toprak can go realistically wherever Toprak wants to go. The only thing a place I'd struggle to see Toprak is on a Ducati. I don't think he'd get into a Ducati. But I think
so?
No. Like you look at them, right? You look at the Ducatis. You have Alex Marquez leading the championship. You have Marc Marquez in second. You have Pecco Bagnaia in third.
Right.
You have Franco Morbidelli in fourth. You have Fabio Di Gianantonio in fifth.
Yeah,
the top five in the championships are all Ducati.
You wouldn't swap out DG for Toprak?
Well, if DG is going to finish in the top 3 or 4 in the championship, why would you? He's cheaper. He knows the bike. He already...
cheaper.
Yeah. But like you're already paying a hefty price for Mark. That's it. But like you already have Pecco and Mark. You don't really need anyone else. You know, realistically, you don't. Like Fermin Aldeguer has a contract for next season as well on a works bike, so he's definitely not going to go anywhere. Franco Morbidelli is probably only one of the Ducatis that's on the ejection seat, and
this has been his best year in 4 years, 5 years. This has been his best year, I think, since he came in second.
Yeah, maybe. It is. Well, like he's fourth in the championship. Do you know what I mean? 20 points behind Pecco.
Yeah, and it's not like he didn't earn it, so he didn't fall into that. It wasn't like people crashed in front of him.
Yeah. So it's like, to be fair to him, he is doing a fucking bang up job, Franco. Which, and I'll be fair and honest, I did think he was somewhat washed up.
Yeah, so we both thought that, right? We were like, why is this guy getting a ride?
Why is he getting a ride? Yeah,
30 pictures, you know?
Yeah. But, you know, look, he is, in my view, look, I think he's in that thing of fuck 'em all. Do you know what I mean? And he's absolutely nothing to lose. He's going for it. So yeah, look, more power to him. But, you know, the championship is.
By the way, I'm going to give a prediction. I don't think KTM's going to pull it out and is going to survive this ordeal.
I think they'll survive to the end of 2026. But I think I'm very worried about their development into 2027.
Yeah, I think it's right there with you. I think it's going to be there 26th, and I mean, I wonder if they're going to stay together as a company. Period. Past 27.
Yeah.
The odd thing is, guess what? The rest of the European bikes have Triumph record sales, Aprilia record sales, Ducati record sales. Anybody? Am I missing any? BMW record sales.
Look, I think
the Honda getting their ass handed to them.
I think
deals, you know.
Yeah, I think like there was rumors around that BMW were to buy KTM realistically to buy their MotoGP slot, right? And as we know, KTM
awful expensive slot.
Well, no, you see, because the KTM MotoGP team is a complete separate entity to KTM, so it wouldn't be that expensive to buy the seats, right? No. But
I was being facetious, but
yeah. But look, I think I think the current global market things, what is going on, I think a lot of companies are going to be pennywise now for a few months until everything stabilizes and they get things somewhat under control. But yeah, look, I think
Harley Davis is buying into it.
Huh?
I don't think Harley Davis is buying it any teams either.
No.
You say everybody's gonna be tiptoeing.
Yeah. Now this weekend it is race weekend coming up, so we have Qatar, and I think it should get interesting from here on out, especially with the Ducatis. Like I had a good chat a couple during the week about Pecco and Mark and what do I think is going to happen, and like I'll be very honest, I just genuinely don't know. Like
Mark does not like Qatar.
He doesn't, but I think more so for the whole season is like we had a debate, myself and a friend of mine had a debate about Kota, and we were like, he was just like, oh, Mark was opening the gap and pushing and Joe, and I was like, yeah, but it's like Mark was comfortable when Alex was behind him. As soon as Pecco got past, Mark pushed on to open up the gap further.
Yeah,
and I was like,
well, you
that's
corrected me on that because I had thought that the announcer said that he was backing off and fell down.
No, he had the gap open. He had the gap when Alex passed, or when Pecco passed Alex, the gap was 1.4, and Mark crashed at 2.1 or 2.0. So he was definitely pushing, and he was getting Pecco answered with a fast lap. Mark pushed on again. So he was definitely reacting to Pecco's push. Now, does that mean Pecco pushed him into a mistake? No. All that means is that Mark understood the threat of Pecco and was pushing on. Do you know what I mean? And made a mistake. Then, do you know what I mean? It's a mistake. It's only going to happen. So it's always going to happen. Do you know what I mean? You make a mistake. Sometimes you get away with it, and sometimes you don't. But for me, I think it's going to be an interesting season, especially the first couple of corners that we did see in Kota, in the sprint especially, where Pecco and Mark went a little bit head to head. That was kind of, yes, Mark got the better of him, but it was more of a statement from Pecco saying, "I'm not afraid of you." Do you know what I mean? Which is big. Do you know what I mean? Because there's not a lot of riders in the world that have been Marc Marquez's teammates and have kind of made that statement to him. Do you know what I mean? It's always a little bit down. Now, when I do look at it, Pecco going to Europe on 75 points after the first 3 races is his strongest position that he's ever been in. And as we all know, Pecco doesn't start the season notoriously well. So, so look, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting Qatar and European season, if I'm honest. What do you think? I suppose what we'll ask actually is what are your predictions for Qatar?
Oh, you got me again. Anyhow, got ahead of me. I gotta say, even though he dislikes it, I gotta give it to Marquez. Okay, he's been looking so dominant. Just because this is the first time in my life that I've seen Marquez not fighting a machine to get a win.
I think Alex Marquez could win this one.
That's a. Oh, but I thought Alex Marquez, that was a bogey track for him.
It is, but so is Kota. Do you know what I mean? I know. I think look, there's some of the corners there remind me a lot of how he goes in Aragon, and I think of anyone on the grid, his confidence is the most high now.
No, I'll pick Pecco over Marquez in Aragon. He loves Aragon.
Who?
Pecco.
Oh yeah, but Jesus Christ, Mark was a different level last year at Aragon. Remember? He could have fucking lapped second place and all. He had the pace, do you know what I mean? So, Yeah, but look, I think for me, it would be Alex Pecco, Mark in Qatar. That's where I think it will be.
Because I don't even at this rate, looking at the way he's riding, I don't know if he'll ever hit third.
Who? Mark
Marquez.
Mark Marquez.
Yeah.
Well, it could be first to crash.
Yeah. I'm just in shock. Where in the world did the speed come from Alex Marquez? Same bike, same team.
Feel. It's
same time.
No. It's different. It's different bike. Sure, like he was on the 23, moved to the 24.
Right. You're right. Yeah,
but
same teammate. He's riding against the same guys. To put it that way.
Yeah, but it's all down to feel and the feedback of the feel and how you got it. Like you have to remember that 24 bike, and it's
look how much better he's doing than he's done before. He used to be a guy who would be third, fourth, fifth. You know what I mean? Now he's fighting for a title. You know.
But it's perfectly normal at this stage of the season. It is perfectly normal to see the 24 bike sorted, settled, and someone getting the best out of it. Yeah, it's perfectly normal. It's how does that 25 bike develop?
Yeah.
If that 25 bike develops, like they're not going to develop it to go backwards. Let's be fair, right?
No.
I mean, so what happens? So I think it's going to be interesting. Like middle of the year, like we have a test in Jerez coming up, right? And that's going like realistically, that's going to be crucial, absolutely fucking crucial for KTM. Like if they don't find something at that.
Oh yeah, that's what brings up a point. When was the last time you seen somebody take something totally off? They took that salad box off. MotoGP, Formula One, you don't take something totally off. You change it. If you take it something off, you're really lost in the woods.
I was actually.
It reminds me when Honda took off all the aerodynamics.
Yeah, well, remember, Aprilia did that too last year in Australia. But anyway, I wasn't surprised that they took it off, right? Because it was causing the vibrations, right? Or adding to the vibrations. What I was very shocked about was how publicly they took it off. Like if it was me, I would have left the outside carcass of the salad box there. With nothing, with no damper inside it, or fuck all. Do you know what I mean?
It would have been boxed with no salad.
Exactly, but no one would know there's no salad in the box. Right? Yeah. No, maybe that is the case. There is no salad in the box, and they're just like, "Oh, we're saying wait." Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but I just thought it was a bit of a weird thing for them to publicly do. But you know, KTM, and I suppose this is the European way of doing it. It's like it's not working, remove it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? This is not working. Let's try something different. Do you know what I mean? Which is good. It's what the sport needs. It doesn't need to go down the Formula One route of testing this and testing that, and then retesting this and retesting that, and then it has to go through all of its quality checks, and maybe in 3 months' time it arrives on the bike. You know, it's good. Like it's good, and like. One of the things I did see with Honda, and I don't know if you saw the image, but it was towards the back of the end of the straight, and I think it was Zarco's bike. And you could see the fins on the rear seat, but the fins were moving. And it actually fucking looked like it's like Honda were like running as thin as they dare go fins.
Right.
Like normally, throw the way with Honda, like Honda of old, like that thing now would have been bulletproof tested and fucking all of this, but it literally looked like it came off the 3D printer in the back of the garage. Right, it was screwed on, and it was like as flimsy as fuck. Like, and you were just like, and I just laughed, and I was just like, that's fucking brilliant to see. You know what I mean? is this like? I know Haji and all of them kind of said that whatever his name as Belino Romano, as Belino or whatever his name is, who moved from Honda to Honda from Aprilia, is 90% of their turnaround. I don't think so. Right, that's way too quick to happen. Right, they had some good stuff. Maybe his health in the structure and how they're doing it, but like from when that bike started to turn a wheel, it was better than the previous year's bike. You know, Mir says I can feel the front of it. Fine, you've ended up in the gravel a few times now, a few times too many maybe. You know, so you're not really feeling the front as you want. But Zarco is proving the point on it. Anyway, look, we're going to get an awful lot more answers to the questions of what we have about what's going to happen next in the championship this weekend. Can't wait for Qatar. Again, it's kind of an evening race where they can have a few beers and watch the race and then be a bit drunk. I mean, sober.
I always like Qatar. I don't know why, because it's probably because it's unique. And
it is unique. It is.
It gives you, with the lighting, it gives you a different aspect of the race.
Well, I think that's what was always its unique selling feature was that it was a night race. Do you know what I mean? There was no other night races on there, and no other night races in any major sport. Like Formula One didn't bring in the night races till long after it, so it will be very, very interesting. Anyway, on that bombshell, I think we'll wrap up. We know where we're going. We'll be here again next week talking about Qatar. Yeah, keep it kind, keep it nice, keep it clean.
Oh, by the way, is whatchamacallit running Qatar? Martin.
They're saying that he's going to give it a go, but I don't know yet. There's been no confirmation yet whether he is actually going to
ride around then.
Yeah. The only confirmation of who's not making it is Miguel Oliveira is not making it.
Okay. Now on that bombshell, we will see you
next week.
Peace. Hasta la vista.